Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday, and welcome to our 60-minute yoga practice. Today's practice is our poses that are all about the digestive system, things that aid us with indigestion or bloating or constipation. So these are all poses that focus on the organs of the digestive system, which mainly are centered here in your body. So you can imagine that there's going to be a lot of poses that fold and a lot of poses that twist, stimulating, compressing, and opening the space for those internal organs. So our props today, we want to use a block. So if you have a block, great. If you don't have a yoga block, you could use a small cushion or even a book for the poses that require a block. Also, we are going to do two poses on the hands and knees. So if you need extra padding under your knees, you could have a hand towel or a knee pad or a garden pad, or you could even double over your yoga mat. If you're on a carpeted floor, you probably don't need the extra prop for your knees. But let's get started. We are going to start with our hand gesture called Varuna. Varuna is the ruler of the seas. It's all about water because water helps our digestive system. So that's why I picked that mudra today. So bring your pinky tip and your thumb tip together and keep your other three fingers extended. You can do that on both hands. And then relax your elbows into your waistline. And this is the Varuna mudra. Breathe the water. Your pinky finger is the water element. So we're touching, connecting with that water element. Take one more breath cycle here. And release. Shake out your hands. We're going to warm up the spine in all 7 motions. I'm backing up so you can see me head to toe. We're going to set up our mountain pose. So make the number 11 with your feet about the distance of a tennis ball in between your big toes. Energize the soles of your feet first, and then align the body on top of the heels. Knees, hips, shoulders, ears. And then the shoulder blades into the back pockets with the palms facing forward. Going into our spinal warm-up, starting with elongation. Inhale, lift up, stretch high, and then release. Do that again. Inhale. Go at your own pace here. Make space in the body. Separate the vertebrae. Let's do one more elongation. And then release. Going into cat and cow, standing cat and cow. Bend the knees and the hips, draw the navel in. We're in our first folded pose here. Also aids the digestive system. Hug a giant tree as you tuck the chin. And then inhale, open the entire body. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. And then continue the pattern. Exhale, standing cat. Inhale, standing cow. Imagine that body swimming like an eel in the ocean, making those S curves, that serpentine shape. Let's do one more, standing cat and cow. Flexion and extension and release. Shake it out. We're going to go into lateral flexion here. So separate your feet just a tiny bit to give you a larger platform. Bringing both hands up above. We're going to do lateral flexion to both sides. Knees are soft, so don't hyperextend. And then start the motion of lateral flexion side to side. Think about the lifting side of the rib cage. That bottom rib, that 12th rib, lifting up away from the hip. Do one more to each side. And we're going to come back to center, release, and we're going to go into a static lateral flexion. So place your right hand on your right thigh or your right hip, either one. Left hand to the sky. Now you can go into your static lateral flexion with parallel feet here, or if you want a deeper lateral flexion, take your left foot behind the right, find your stability first, and then come into your lateral flexion. That'll take that stretch down across the hip, not just the upper body, but going a little bit into the low body. Lift it back up, bring those feet back to parallel. Same thing, opposite side. Static lateral flexion. Left hand on the hip, behind the back or on the thigh. Right hand to the sky. You can keep the feet as they are or add that extra progression bringing the right foot slightly behind the left, and then coming into your lateral flexion. Breathe. One more breath cycle. And lift up, bring the feet back to parallel. Going into rotation here. Remember, we're going to have lots of folds and rotations, so this is our first rotation. Start small and engage the abdominal muscles. Let's put on our jacket, but we left our coat sleeves empty. Our arms are not in the coat sleeves, and so we're just going to swing those coat sleeves in front and behind the body. Start to add a little twist. Ribcage and shoulders twisting. You don't have to twist the head. That makes you dizzy. To turn your head and maintain your gaze forward. Start to helicopter the arms if you can. Deepening that twist. One more to each side. And release to center. We do one more twist here. Placing one hand on top of the other, elbows out to the side, and shoulders relaxed. Going into torso twist. It does not matter which hand is on top. Start to turn your upper body and then to the other side. Keep your hips stationary as you move that rib cage and shoulder girdle. Again, you don't have to turn the head if that makes you dizzy. Feel the energy to change directions. Feel the squeeze of the abdominal area, stimulating those internal organs. One more each side. And release at center. Shake it out. All right, we are going to go into a fold and a twist here. Windmill pose. So separate your feet wide. Keep your toes pointing towards your screen. So our feet are still parallel. It's a giant number 11, 2 sticks. We are not rotating the feet. We're going to come down into a flat back. So hands on your hips. Start to fold from the hips. Engage the abdominal muscles. Push your hips back. Soften the knees and lift up. We're going to do that again, and we're going to start to go a little bit lower. You can place your hands on your thighs on the second one. Once again, fold from the hips. Place your hands on your thighs. Push your hips back. Soften the knees and come up. We're going to take it down one more step, bringing the hands all the way to the floor. If that doesn't work for you, you could use a yoga block. Have your yoga block in front of you. Place your hands on your yoga block or book. Or you can keep your hands on your thighs. I'm going to show going directly to the floor, but those are different options that you can use. Hands on your hips, fold from the hips. Hands to your thighs. You can stay here. Or you can bring your hands down to your book or block or all the way to the earth. Push your hips back and look underneath your legs. Bow your head. And now we add the twist, the windmill twist, twice to each side. Keep your right hand where it is. You lift your left hand to the sky. You can do this with the hand on the thigh as well. I'm demonstrating that. Or the hand on your floor or book or block. Bring that left hand down and we switch right hand up. Windmill. Engage the abdominal muscles. Right hand down, left hand up. Breathe. Left hand down, right hand up. Both hands down, soft knees, and rise up. Walk the feet together. We are going to go into a sequence here that incorporates lots of folds and lots of twists. And we're going to do it twice on one side before we switch and do it twice on the other side. So a pretty long sequence. This is as opposed to doing a layer cake. We're not doing a layer cake. We're going to do the whole sequence, one pose each time, and then we'll repeat that same sequence. So we're going to come to the skinny end of the mat. Now if your mat is oriented to look straight at your screen, that's fine. I'm oriented this way so that you can see the side view of the pose. We're going to start with half forward fold and then make our way down to a full forward fold. So gaze off towards the skinny end of your mat. Shoulder blades into your back pockets. Inhale, grow through the crown of the head. Exhale, tuck the chin. Slide your hands down your thighs. Bring them just below the knees. Pause here. Soft knees, don't hyperextend. That looks like this, pushing the knee backwards. So keep a little softness. Push your hips back, making the letter L, half forward fold. And now we're going to make it all the way down to the floor. Full forward fold. Look at your knees, bow your head. Breathe, standing forward fold. And now soften both knees, squeeze your navel, and reach forward for chair squat. Tuck your tail between your legs. Breathe. And we're going to go into twisted chair. I'm going to twist away from you. So put your left hand on your left leg and lift your right hand to the sky. Return arms forward, rise up, and we're going to go into twisted lunge. So take your left leg back. I'm sorry, let's take your left leg back. Keeping the heel lifted and the toes pointing towards the skin of your mat. Do not come on a balance beam. That looks like this. No, keep that foot separated so you have some stability here. Front knee is bent. Back leg could be slightly bent or straight. You pick. Lunge pose, arms forward. And now twisted lunge. Again, I'm going to twist away from the screen. Bringing your left hand down onto the right thigh, right hand up to the sky. Breathe. One more breath cycle. And bring both hands forward. Drop the back heel down. And we're going to shift into our triangle pose. So straighten the front knee. So now both legs are straight. Throw that left shoulder back and extend your arms into a T. Float that right hand forward over the right leg and then down to the right inner thigh. Left hand floats up to the sky so you make a vertical line from fingertip to fingertip. Triangle pose. If you want to go deeper in this pose, you can slide that right hand down below the knee. You could grab your block here and place your hand on your block. Or if it's accessible to you, you can bring that hand all the way down to the foot. Breathe. This is an intense pose. Imagine you're squeezing a beach ball between your inner thighs, but don't grab the mat with your toes. Breathe. One more breath cycle. Keep the legs straight and bring both hands to the shin. Look down at your right foot. You can stay here with both hands on the right shin, or you can reach down and make little teepee fingertips on the mat. Keep looking at the right foot. To deepen the pose, look at your right hand. Your chest moves slightly, and that'll deepen the pose on the outside of the calf. Intense side stretch, Parsvottanasana. One more breath cycle. Bend that front knee. You're going to come all the way up. Breathe as you lift all the way up. Arms back to a T. Arms forward, and we're going to come down and go into downward facing dog. Hands come back down to the floor. Step it back. Hips up to the sky. Make stars with your hands. Lift up through the armpits. Keep your ears close to your arms. And press your thigh bones into your legs. Down dog, a great pose to aid the digestive system. Breathe. From here, we're going to go into puppy pose. Bring your knees all the way down, toenails to the mat, and then crawl your hands forward. Bring your ears between your arms, lift through the armpits, and then melt the heart. Puppy pose. Another pose that aids the digestive system. One more breath cycle. Lift the heart, bring your hands back onto the mat. We're going to go back into down dog, so curl the toes onto the mat. Exhale, lift the hips up to the sky. Back in down dog. And now bend the knees 3 times. Bend and lift. Bend and lift.
Bend and lift. Walk forward with soft knees. Squeeze your navel, rise up. Roll your shoulder blades back. We're going to do that whole sequence again. All those poses that aid the digestive system. Starting with that half forward fold. Grow through the crown of the head. Exhale, tuck the chin. Slide your hands down, either to your thighs or just below the knees. Half forward fold, push your hips back, keep your knees soft. Exhale all the way down. Bend the knees if you need to get there. That's okay. Breathe. Look at your knees. Bow the head. And going into chair squat. Bend the knees. Tuck your tail between your legs. Arms come forward. Chair squat. Breathe. Twisting our chair squat. Left hand to left thigh. Right arm to the sky. Release, arms forward, rise up. And we're going to go into that lunge. Step your left leg back. Remember, don't come onto your balance beam. Keep the feet separated. Find your balance. Arms forward. Bring your left hand down to the thigh and the right hand to the sky. Twisted lunge. Return the arms forward. Drop your back heel down and straighten your front knee. Throw that left shoulder back, arms to a T, going into triangle pose. Slide that right hand over the right leg and then down to the inner thigh. Make that big long line between fingertips to fingertips. If you want to go lower, send that right hand below the knee, maybe to your block, maybe to the foot. You pick. One more breath cycle. Keep both legs straight and bring both hands down to the shin or to the mat. Intense side stretch. Bow your head. And now to intensify the pose, look towards your right hand. The chest moves a little bit off to the right. One more breath cycle. Soften that front knee. We're going to go directly into our down dog. We're not coming back up this time. Lift the back heel, turn the foot, plant the hands flat, step the right foot back, and then exhale, hips up to the sky, ears close to the arms. Breathe, downward facing dog. Going into puppy, lower the knees, toenails to the mat, crawl the hands forward to the top edge of the mat, ears between the arms, lift from the armpits, and then melt the heart. Returning to down dog, lift your chest, bring your hands back onto the mat, curl the toes onto the mat, exhale the hips up, down dog, bending the knees 3 times. Bend and lift, bend and lift. We're not touching the mat, just hover and lift. Soft knees walks it forward. Squeeze the navel, rise up, head comes up last. Roll the shoulders back. We're going to do that sequence on the other side. Come into the opposite end of the mat. Remember on the 2 twists, I'm going to be twisting away from the screen. That's just so that when we do triangle, that I can be facing the screen and you. So let's set up for half forward fold. Make the number 11 with your feet. Grow through the crown of the head. Exhale, tuck the chin. Slide your hands down, either landing on your thighs or below the knees on the shins. Push your hips back. Keep the knees soft. Make the letter L. Exhale all the way down, full forward fold. Bend the knees if you need to. That's okay. Breathe. Then we go into chair squat. Bend both knees. Draw your arms forward and tuck your tail between your legs. Chair squat. Twisting our chair. Right hand to right thigh, left hand to the sky. And return the arms forward, lift up, going into our lunge pose. Step your right leg back. Remember, all the toes are still facing the skinny end of your mat. Find your balance. And we're going to twist our lunge. Again, I'm twisting away from the screen. Place the right hand on the thigh, lift the left hand to the sky. Breathe. And bring both arms forward, going into our triangle pose. Drop your back heel down and straighten your front leg as you extend the arms into a T. Throw that right shoulder back. And now extend your left hand over the left leg and then down to the inner thigh. Right hand comes up to the sky. You can stay here or go deeper. Remember, if you want to use your block, enough time over there, but you could use your block if you want, or you could slide down to the foot. Keep that right shoulder blade rolling down your back. Breathe. One more breath cycle. Keep both legs straight, both hands down to that left shin. Or if you can, make teepees with your fingertips on the mat. Look towards your left hand, deepen the stretch. One more breath cycle. And now bend that left knee. We're going to go into down dog. So take your back foot, lift the heel, turn the foot, plant the hands flat, and step your left foot back. As you exhale, lift the hips up. Make big stars with your hands. Lift through the armpits. Press your thigh bones into the legs. Downward facing dog. Exhale, lower the knees all the way down to the mat. Toenails touch the mat. Arms crawl forward to the top of your mat, going into puppy pose. Lower your ears between the arms, lift through the armpits, and melt the heart. Returning to down dog, lift the chest, bring your hands back onto the mat, spread the fingers wide, curl the toes, exhale the hips up to the sky, back into down dog. 3 times we bend the knees. Bend and lift. Then hover and lift. One more time. Bend, lift, soft knees, walks it forward. Lower the hips, squeeze the navel, rise up one vertebra at a time. Head comes up last. Roll the shoulders back. Stand tall, realign. Second time through. Last time on the second side. Grow through the crown of the head. Exhale, tuck your chin. Slide the hands down the thighs, landing just above the knees or just below the knees. Push your hips back. Make the letter L. Breathe. Coming into full forward fold. Exhale all the way down. Bend the knees if you need to, or keep them straight. Look at your knees. Bow the head. And we're going into chair squat. Lower the hips, squeeze your navel, reach forward, tuck the tail. Twisting your chair. Right hand to right leg, left hand to the sky. And bring those arms back forward as you lift the chest to come into lunge. Step that right leg back. Find your balance. And we'll twist our lunge, twisting in the same direction as twisted chair. Place that right hand on the leg, left hand to the sky. Breathe. Arms come forward, drop the back heel, and open to a T. Straighten your front knee. Send that right shoulder back, and then left hand floats over the left leg and down to the inner thigh. Setting up your triangle pose, Trikonasana. If you want, take that left hand, lower on the leg. Breathe. It can go to your block, or it can stay above the knee. You pick. Press a beach ball between your inner thighs, but don't grab the mat with your toes. One more breath cycle. Keep the legs straight. Bring that right hand down, both hands on the left shin. Bow the head. If you can, take your hands down to the mat. And now turn your gaze towards the left edge of your mat or your left hand. One more breath cycle. And bend the left knee. Lift your back foot so you can reorient the toes to face the skinny end. Plant your hands flat, going into down dog. Step your left leg back. Exhale the hips up to the sky. Lift through the armpits. Ears are close to the arms. Making that upside down letter V. And we lower the knees for puppy. Move all the way down. Toenails to the mat. Hands crawl forward. Lower the ears between the arms. Lift the armpits. And melt the heart. One more breath cycle. Lift the heart. Bring your hands back onto the mat. Keep them spread wide. Curl the toes. Exhale the hips up to the sky. Back into down dog. Ears close to the arms. And we bend the knees. Hover number 1 and lift. Number 2 and lift. Last one. Number 3. Lift, soft knees. Walks it forward. Lower the hips. Squeeze the navel. 1 vertebra at a time. Rise up. Head comes up last. And roll those shoulders back. Good work, my friends. That was your standing sequence today, twice on each side, lots of poses, twists and folds, working those digestive system areas of the body. Let's go into camel pose, standing camel 3 times, changing the hands each time. Each time we're doing a little baby back bend, so whenever we do a back bend, we want to lift that rib cage up and think about opening the space in your body for those internal organs. Make the number 11 with your feet. First position of your hands, gentle fists. Do not overly clench. Just keep your fingers loose. Make a gentle fist and place the knuckles at the top of your pelvis. Back view. Turning back to face you. Shoulders relaxed, rib cage lifts. And now inhale, come into your baby back bend. 1 breath cycle. And exhale back, release. The next one, we will increase the number of breaths by 1, so it'll be 2 breath cycles. Take your thumbs, place your thumbs at the top of your pelvis, wrap the 4 fingers on the sides of the hips, shoulders down, back view. And come back to face you. Rib cage up, shoulders down. Inhale, come into your back bend, take 2 breath cycles. Exhale back to vertical, give everything a shake. 1 more standing camel. This one gives you the most support with your hands, so maybe you can go a little deeper. You pick. Place 4 fingers pointing downwards at the top of your pelvis. Your thumbs wrap around your hips. Back view. Shoulders relaxed, ribcage lifts. We're doing 3 breaths this time. Inhale, come into your baby back bend and breathe. 1 more. Exhale back to vertical. Shake it out. Do a couple hula hoops with the hips. Go the other way. And we're going to do 1 more standing pose. It's our balance pose. You can use the wall if you need to. It's a figure 4 squat. So coming into a 1-legged squat with the ankle crossed over the knee. We're in a squat, so we're compressing that abdominal cavity, stimulating those inner organs again. If you need to, allow your fingertips to rest on the wall. You're going to be coming into a squat that looks like this. Here's what not to do though. Don't lean against the wall with a flat palm. I want just the fingertips on the wall, or nothing at all. You pick. We'll start by making our right leg the foundation and our left leg a lift up. So float that left heel, float the foot, and bring that left foot above the right knee. If you need to, go ahead and put your fingertips on the wall, or your hands could be in front and sink into your squat. Bending the knee, bending the hips, squeezing the abdominal cavity. Look at something that doesn't move. 1 more breath cycle. Rise up, and we'll switch sides. If your wall is in one spot and you can't go to another wall, then just turn around. You've seen it once, you know what it looks like. Energize the soles of your feet. Let your left leg be your foundation. Let your right heel become light. Float that right foot and bring that right foot above the left knee, opening the right knee out to the side. If you need to, bring your fingertips onto the wall, or they could be in front or on your hips, whatever works for you. Start to come into your one-legged squat, bending the knee, bending the hips. Look at something that doesn't move. One more breath cycle. And rise up. Prance it out. We're going to take it down to hands and knees. Everything from here on is going to be low on the mat. So if you want to move your device down to the floor or to a stack of books on the floor, you can. I'm going to do that as well. After you set up your device, you can grab your knee pad if you like, if you need that, and come into hands and knees, or table pose, quadruped pose. I'm going to use a little knee pad. Spread your fingers wide. And we're going to go into cat and cow. We did it standing up, now let's do it on hands and knees. Inhale, neutral spine, bow the head. Exhale, round up into cat stretch. And then inhale, pass through neutral spine, lower the belly, lift the heart forward. Go at your own pace. Cat and cow on hands and knees. If you want to deepen the range of motion, increase the range of motion, in between the poses, bend your elbows and scoop into cow. Scoop up into cat. That's an option. You don't have to bend the elbows. Wherever you are, let's do one more cat and cow. And then return to neutral spine. We're going to go into a pose that folds the body a little bit more and stretches the shoulder, called thread the needle. We're going to be taking one hand behind the other out to the side and lowering the head to the mat. Now, if that bothers you to lower the head all the way down, you could use a cushion, a yoga block, a book. I'm going to demonstrate it with the yoga block on the first side. So let's start by picking up the right hand, flip the palm to face up, and send that arm behind the left arm as you lower the head and the shoulder to the mat. Now, you can stay here. I'm going to show options for the left arm. We're already stretching the back of the right shoulder, so if you want to stay here for the entire time, you can, or you can take 2 breath cycles on each of 3 variations. First one, left hand to the sky. Second one, back of the left hand to the low back. Last one, take the left hand to the top left corner of your mat or to the top right corner of your mat, and we're adding a stretch for the latissimus dorsi. 2 breath cycles. Return the left hand to the original position if it's not already there. Lift back up into your table pose. And we're going to do that on the other side. I'm going to turn around only so that I can continue to look at the screen, but you don't have to. If you know what this looks like, you can stay right where you are. You can use that block again or not. I'm going to show it without the block on the second side. Pick up your left hand, flip the palm to face up, and thread that arm behind the right arm, lowering the head and the shoulder down to the mat or to your block or cushion or book. Stretching the back of the left shoulder. You can stay here or take 2 breath cycles on each of 3 variations. The first one, right hand to the sky. Second one, back of the right hand to the low back. And the last one, right hand reaches up to the top right corner, or maybe creeping across to the top left corner for that deeper stretch on the latissimus dorsi. 2 breath cycles. Return that right hand to the original position. Push all the way up. And we're going to come into seated poses. So go ahead and lower your bottoms down to the mat. If you are using a knee pad, just move it off to the side. We are going to use our block or book or cushion during our seated sequence, so keep it close by. Extend your legs forward, move the fleshy part of your bottoms away from your sits bones. And we're going to go into a couple twists. The first one is called Marichyasana, or Marichi's pose. Draw your right foot in. Don't cross it over. We're not going into half Lord of the Fishes here. We're going to keep that leg on the inside of the left leg, not crossing it over. We're still going to turn into our twist. And if you can, take that left elbow to the outside, and you can put your right hand on the mat. If you want to add a little strength component, take your right hand off the mat and make a cactus arm, looking off towards the right. Breathe. One more breath cycle. Slide over your body back around. Hug that knee. Bow the head. And we're going to go into half garland pose from here. Or you can stay here, just folding the body, hugging the knee. If you want to go into half garland pose, I'll show progressions. You can take this right shoulder to the inside and bring your hands down to the left leg below the knee. Draw the elbows down, round your back, tuck the chin. Compressing the abdominal cavity here, stimulating those inner organs. You can stay here with both hands on the left leg, or you can add the arm position, the wreath or garland pose. Taking your right hand, drape it in front of the shin, and place the back of the hand on the mat. Keep the head bowed. You can keep your left hand on the left leg, or take the back of the left hand to your low back, creating that garland shape. And now the goal is to try to inch your fingertips closer to each other, maybe even connecting the fingertips. Keep the head bowed. Breathe. One more breath cycle. And return both arms to the left leg. Return both arms to hugging the right knee. And lift up out of the pose. Going into head to knee pose. Extend both legs forward and open. And then draw that right foot into your left inner thigh. As part of our head to knee pose sequence, we're going to add a single stargazer. So that means if you want to lift your hips, you're going to be coming up on your right knee. If you're on carpet, you're probably okay. But if you need to adjust your position so that your knee is over your mat, go ahead and scoot to one side or the other. If you want, you could even use your knee pad to come up onto that knee if that's more comfortable. If you're on a hard tile floor and you want that extra cushion. Going into head to knee pose first, look towards that left leg, hands come below the left knee, draw the elbows down, and reach towards those toes. Feel that stretch in the right hip, right outer thigh, and right low back. Reach a little more deeply towards those toes. Feel that stretch deepen and enhance. And we're going to go into our single stargazer. So sweep your right arm behind your right hip. It could be in front or overhead, either one. Plant that hand firmly on the mat, and then lift your left arm up to the sky. You can stay here. You do not have to lift your hips. If that's not good for your right knee, then don't lift your hips. But if it's accessible to you, go ahead and lift those hips up for stargazer pose, gazing at the left hand in the sky. One breath cycle here.
and lower it all the way back down. Both hands come back to that left leg and lift all the way up out of pose. Extend both legs forward. We'll do that sequence on the other side. Starting with Marichyasana or Marichyatu's pose. Bring that foot in. Don't cross it over. Keep it where it is. Lift up through the rib cage and turn into your twist. If you can, take this right elbow to the outside of the leg and place your left hand on the earth, looking off towards the left. If you want to challenge your abdominal strength, take the left hand off the mat and make a cactus arm. Breathe. One more breath cycle. And come out of your twist to hug that left knee with both arms. Going into half garland, or again, if you want to go into a resting pose, you can stay here and hug the knee. Or join me in half garland, bringing this left shoulder to the inside of the left knee, hands come below the right knee, tuck your chin, round the back body, lower the chest, stretching the back body here. And you can keep both hands on the right leg or add one or both arms into the garland shape. Starting with the left, drape it in front of the left shin, and the back of the left hand goes to the mat. You can keep your right hand on the right leg or add the second arm coming behind the body, back of the right hand comes to the low back. Try to inch your fingertips closer to each other. See if you can get to the point where you can connect. Keep bowing the head, tucking the chin, rounding the back. Half garland pose, Ardha Malasana. One more breath cycle. Return both hands to the right leg. Return both hands to hugging the left knee. And lift up out of the pose. Extend both legs forward, open up into a V, and then bend your left knee to tuck the left foot against the right leg. Again, you're going to be on that left knee for Stargazer, so make sure that knee is over part of your mat, your knee pad, or a carpeted floor. Turn towards the right leg, hands below the knee, draw the elbows down, and extend the entire upper body towards those right toes, dropping the elbows. Bow your head, feel that stretch in the left hip, left outer thigh. And again, we're folded and twisted here, stimulating those internal organs. We're going to add our single Stargazer. So your left arm is going to sweep behind the left hip. It could sweep in front low, or it could make a rainbow. Hand rests. Press that hand firmly into the earth. Lift your right hand to the sky. You can stay here, or you can lift those hips. Look up at the hand in the sky. Take one breath cycle. And lower the hips. Return both hands over to that right leg. And then slowly lift up out of the pose. Extend both legs forward. I'm going to continue with seated poses here. We're going to go into garland squat, and we're going to use our block. So here's the seated pose where we're going to use our block. So go ahead and tuck the block under your hips. You can use your foot to lift your hips up, and then bend both knees. Feet are wide. They can be on your mat, or they can be hanging off the edge of the mat like mine are. And we're going to go into garland squat by bringing your hands to prayer position, tucking your elbows to the insides of your knees, and then splay open your elbows. You'll rock onto the outside edge of the feet. So the inner edge of the feet is rolled up off of the earth. Now this is a non-working squat. It's not so bad, right? Because your bottoms are supported on your block. You can stay here. If you want to progress this pose, you can come into a working squat, and that means both feet will be flat and wide, and your bottoms come off the block. Use your hand to help you. Push off of the mat. Your toes will externally rotate so that your hips can come down very low. This is a very low squat, Malasana squat, garland squat.
Whether you're still on your block or whether you came into the working squat, take one more breath cycle, and everyone is going to come back to bottoms on the mat. So move the block away, set your bottoms down, and extend your legs forward. Move the fleshy part of your bottoms away from your sits bones, and we're going to go into seated forward fold. Another pose that folds the body and stimulates those internal organs. Hands below the knees, draw the elbows down, and reach your entire upper body towards the feet. Bow your head. Breathe. One more breath cycle. And lift up out of that pose. We're going to go into a prone sequence here. Two poses, half bow and cobra. And options for modifications on both. So make sure your block is not in the way, your knee pad is not in the way, and we're going to lie on our bellies on the mat, feet to the skinny end, head to the opposite skinny end. I'm going to continue to be your mirror, even if you're not set up in the same configuration as me. I'm going to be calling out right and left, and my right and left will be a mirror image. Press your pubic bone into the mat. We're going to go into half bow first, Ardha Dhanurasana. If you know full bow, and that's where you bend both knees and grab the feet with the hands, you can do that pose, but you'll do it twice, because I'm going to do half bow, first the right leg and then the left. So if you want to do full bow, you can, but you'll do it twice. The important thing when you do bow pose, when you bend the knee and you come into the bow pose, do not let your knees splay away from the midline. So imagine there's something between your knees, even if only one knee is lifted, that you're pressing like a balloon. So think about a balloon between your knees, and you're going to keep pressing on that balloon. So bring your arms forward. Elbows are resting on the mat, gaze is forward towards your hands. We'll start with our left leg. Bend your left knee and reach behind and grab that foot with your left hand. If you're doing full bow, you can bend both knees and grab both feet. Now when you go into your bow pose, you're going to lift the knee, but keep the pubic bone pressing into the mat, protecting your low back. You're also going to float that forward hand, that right hand, unless you're lifting both knees, then your hands are on your feet. So gaze forward over the skinny end of your mat. Already think about pressing on the balloon with the inside of your knees. On your next inhale, float the left knee, float the right arm, keep pressing the balloon, take one breath cycle, and release. Hands rest on your face, rests on your hands. And we'll do the other side. Extend both arms forward. Bend your right knee, reach back with your right hand and grab that foot. If you're doing full bow again, then you can bend both knees and grab both feet. Start to think about pressing on that balloon with the inside of your knee. Take one breath cycle, and then on your next inhale, float your right knee and your left arm. Press the balloon. One breath cycle, and release. Face rests on your hands. And now we'll go into our cobra sequence. We're going to do 2 cobras. Your second cobra could be an upward dog if you want. I'm going to model cobra and then an up dog. And I'm going to keep it a baby up dog. I'm going to lift my arms into a straight arm position, but I'm not going to disconnect my pubic bone. That's very important to, especially if you have low back issues, maintain that connection of the pubic bone to the mat. But let's start with cobra. Palms underneath your shoulders, toenails touching the mat, pubic bone pressing into the mat. When you lift up, imagine you're trying to pull the surface of your mat backwards towards your hips. Your arms don't actually move, but you want to feel that sensation of pulling and your elbows pushing towards your hips. Take one breath cycle. On your next inhale, lift the chest. Pull the mat, pull the elbows back. Breathe. Exhale, release. Face rests on your hands. The second one, you can do another cobra, Or you can join me in a baby up dog, keeping the pubic bone on the mat. Hands beneath your shoulders. Breathe, one breath cycle. On your next inhale, lift the chest, pull the mat. If you want, straighten the elbows for a baby up dog. Keep pulling the mat. Your chest is moving forward, your elbows are moving back. Exhale, release. We're going to go into child's pose here. So push your chest off the mat, walk your knees in, and sink your hips back towards your heels. Breathe. You can walk your elbows right next to your knees. Maybe stack your fists and let your forehead rest on your fists or on the palms. Release that low back. Breathe. Now start to curl your body as if you were coming into a baby cat, and then come back down, chest coming towards the thighs. One more time, rounding the back. Come all the way up, pushing up off the mat. And we're going to come into line on our back poses to finish off our sequence. Go ahead and send your feet to the skinny end of your mat. We are going to use our block if we have time. So have it close by. And go ahead and lie all the way down. Continuing your child's pose with upside down child's pose, hugging your knees into your chest and adding a gentle sway. We're going to go into a pose here that aids the digestive system and that also uses an open mouth exhalation. So your exhale is going to sound like this. So very forceful. It's called wind relieving pose. Keep your left knee hugged in and send your right foot to the bottom of your mat. Your heel is resting on the mat. Relax your shoulders. So when you do that exhale, you're also going to be lifting up your chest and pulling your chest towards your bent knee, lifting your head off the mat. We'll do it 3 times on each side. So in your resting position, take the biggest inhale you can. And now exhale, squeeze up. Release. Another big inhale. Exhale, squeeze up. Release. Inhale, rest. Last one. Exhale, squeeze. And release and change legs. Send that left heel to the bottom of the mat. Draw your right knee into your chest. Hug it more tightly into your chest with both arms and then rest your shoulders. Same thing. Take the biggest inhale you can in rest. Exhale, squeeze. Back to rest. Inhale. Squeeze. Back to rest. One more time. Inhale. Exhale, squeeze. And release. Hug both knees into your chest. Add a little sway. And we're going to go into an open belly twist variation. Plant both feet flat on the mat. Straighten your left leg out. Keep your right knee bent. Bring your arms into cactus arms or into a T. And now take that bent right knee across the body and keep your shoulders connected to the mat, looking up at the ceiling. Open belly twist with one straight leg. One more breath cycle. And roll that right hip back down onto the mat. Change legs. Bending your left, straightening your right. Your arms are still out in a T or a cactus arm position. And now take that bent left leg across the body, letting that left hip roll up. Breathe. Your low back is in a little baby extension here. That's the natural arch or curve of your low back. One more breath cycle. And roll that left hip back down onto the mat. Hug both knees into your chest, complementing that spinal extension. Add a little sway. We're going to go into reverse crunch and baby plow, and then supported fish. So plant your feet flat, adjust your back body, connect firmly with the back body and your mat. Going into reverse crunch, extend your legs up in candlestick. Now, if this bothers your low back, you can bend the knees and do reverse crunch with bent knees. Press your upper arms into the mat, and now press your hands into the mat and gently lift your hips an inch and then back down. An inch and then back down. With straight legs looks like this. An inch and back down, an inch and back down. Your feet are pushing up, straight up. If you want, add a baby plow, rocking the feet towards your chest and then back to straight legs. You can do this with bent legs as well, rocking the knees towards your chest. Just do a few more baby plows. We're not going to go into full plow today. That's a very complex pose, and without being present, I don't really want to have you do a full plow and hurt your back. So keep it as a baby plow. Last one, hug the knees. Plant your feet flat. And we'll go into supported fish. It's a complementary pose for our plow pose. So extend your legs long, supporting your fish with your block or your book or your cushion. Prop yourselves up on your elbows and then tuck your prop underneath your shoulder blades. Lower your back body back down, and this time make sure the head comes all the way down to the mat. Your chin is going to be pointing upwards, and your eyes are going to be looking almost backwards. Go ahead and open your palms, and this is an upper body opening pose. Again, we're opening the body for those internal organs and complementing the pose that we just did, the reverse crunch and baby plow. One more breath cycle. And we're going to come off of the block. If you want, you can plant your feet flat and roll to the side, and then just push that block out of the way and come back onto your back body. Keep your knees bent, because we're going to go into one more pose here that is very specific to aid the digestive system. It's called Apanasana. Draw both knees into your chest, feet are floating, and place your hands on top of your knees. Push the knees away and pull them back in. Go at your own pace here. Keep the sides of your feet glued together, maybe just the big toes if you like. But keep them touching so that you're forming one unit with your legs. The legs are glued together. You're massaging those internal organs here with this pose. We're going to add a variation here. So draw the knees in and pause. You're going to open both knees out to the sides. Right knee goes right, left knee goes left. And then push them away wide, and then bring them back together and draw them into your chest. You've made mirror image circles with your knees. A variation of Apanasana, like you're stirring two soup pots here. Pause with the knees hugged in. We're reversing the direction. Keep the knees together as you push straight away, and then open and draw into your chest. Continue those mirror image circles. Look up at the ceiling. You don't need to look at your screen anymore. Just do a few more of this pose that's very specific to the digestive system. Last one, and hug the knees. Rest your feet on the mat. Going into relaxation now. You can extend your legs long, or you can keep your knees bent. You can roll onto your side, whatever's comfortable to you. I'm sitting up just to project my voice, but you stay on the mat. Close your eyes. Relax your face, your brow. Set your awareness to those abdominal cavities, those organs, those digestive system organs. We were really focusing on a sequence today to aid the digestive system. So hopefully you feel energized through the core of your body. Take a few more breath cycles here, relaxing on the mat. Let your brow be soft, your cheekbones, your eyes, your tongue, your throat. Everything soft, everything relaxed. One more breath cycle. And we'll return to a seated pose. You can either do
one sit up to get there, or roll to your side, or if you're already on your side, just push into the earth and come to a seated pose. We started our practice today with a hand gesture named after the ruler of the seas, Oluna. So my quote today is from Digestive, and it's about the sea. And he wrote, "The sea, once it casts its spell, holds one in its net of wonder forever." And how many of us feel like that when we watch the sea, when we go to the ocean, when we watch a sunset or a sunrise over the body of water? Maybe you've had the privilege of going snorkeling or scuba diving and being part of that world, that undersea life. Bring your hands outside your hips, inhale to the sky, let your thumbs touch your mind, your spirit breath in your body. The spirit in me honors the spirit in all of you. Namaste, my friends. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed our sequence that was focused on the digestive system. And remember, keep breathing.